Should you quit your job now and go full-time on your startup? Let's talk about it. By the way, I'm KJ Miller, founder, lecturer, and content creator. I love talking about all things business and pop culture. If that interests you, be sure to subscribe. Now let's get into it. Now, first, a little bit of context. If you don't know, I founded a company called Minted Cosmetics. I launched it back in 2017. I quit my job in November of 2016, and coming to the decision to quit my very well-paying management consulting six-figure job in order to pay myself nothing and launch a startup was honestly terrifying. But I did it and I learned a lot. And now I want to share my advice with you for when to make the decision to quit your job and go full-time on your startup. So in my experience, there were three things I did that really helped when I was trying to make the decision whether or not to quit my job. Number one, and this is probably the absolute most important, you've got to have some sort of financial safety net. You just do. And you probably already know that. And what you're trying to determine is what sort of safety net is going to be enough. Now, everyone's going to have different opinions about this. My opinion is you should really strive for minimum 6 months of living expenses in your savings account. Okay. Minimum 6 months. If you can get more like 9 months, that's even better. But I would say minimum 6 months. And here's why. You don't know what's going to happen to the economy, and you don't know how long it's going to take for your business to get to a place where you can start to pay yourself. In my case, like I said, I quit my job November 2016. We launched Minted January 2017. We didn't start paying ourselves anything until March 2017. So from November to March, I was not paying myself a single dollar. And it took us that long to get to a place where we felt like the business was generating enough cash that we could afford to take a little bit off the table. And by the way, when we did start paying ourselves, it was not a salary. It was a stipend. It essentially was, I want to say something like a couple $1,000s a month, maybe like $1,500, $2,000 a month, just to help with our living expenses. Okay. By no means a salary, and certainly not a salary for 2 Harvard MBAs, and nowhere near what I was making in my previous consulting job. But it was something. But like I said, 5 months after I quit, okay, that's how long it took before I felt that the business was generating enough cash to even be able to pay myself that. So that's why I say 6 months minimum, because in my experience, you really are going to need that buffer. The other thing 6 months does is that's a good amount of time in your business to determine if it's really going to be successful enough in order to generate a salary for you. 6 months is enough time to sort of work out the kinks and really understand, not that in 6 months you're going to be exactly where you want to be, but in 6 months you will have learned enough about your marketing pipeline, whether your email is doing well enough, your social media is doing well enough, maybe you're doing some paid ads, whether those are doing well enough that you can see a growth trajectory that'll get you to a place where it can sustain you. 6 months gives you enough time to figure that out. And in fact, I would say even by month 3 or 4, you're going to start to really have an understanding of, am I building something that's growing here? Am I building a real audience base that's interested? Because if not, I might want to get back on the job market now so that when my money runs out in 2 to 3 months, I've got something, even if it's just like a gig sort of job, right? Even if you just pick up Instacarting or Ubering or whatever it might be, something you can kind of flex, it gives you enough time so that you're not getting to the end of that 6 months and being completely dried up. So that's my first tip. Make sure you've got minimum 6 months of living expenses before you quit your job. Tip number 2, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like to use this mantra when I'm thinking about hiring for my team. And by that, I mean, I don't hire new people to come in and work a job until the people I have are literally about to break, because it's too much. We don't have any more bandwidth. Things are now slipping through the cracks because everyone's working at 100% capacity. That's when I bring somebody else in. Okay. Whereas, people who, and that's because I've always been a cash-strapped startup founder. I'm sure there are businesses that hire proactively before something breaks. They start bringing in teams and people to do the things that they foresee they're going to need because they have the cash to do it. Well, I never did. Similarly, I was willing to work my job and build Minted for a very long time because I could. It was hard. It meant I was doing my job all day, and then at night I was working on Minted, and on weekends I was working on Minted. I was working 7 days a week. I was never not working. But there was a time period where I could do that, and the reason why is because I was so passionate about Minted that it didn't feel like a job. I was working, but it felt like work that I was happy to do, that I was excited to do, right? So my job felt like work I had to do. Minted felt like work I got to do. And so I was able to sustain that for over a year. It really wasn't until I realized once I launch, I've got to be one of the faces of this brand. I've got to be out in public. I've got to be willing to be on our social media. Now I can't do it in private. I could build it in private, get things working in private, manufacture the lipsticks in private, and go to certain investor meetings in private. But now I've got to be, once we've launched, it's got to be public. And that's not going to work. So I did it for as long as I could. I held on to my full-time job for as long as I could because it wasn't broken yet. But eventually it will break, and only you can be the judge of when that is. But I would say, again, because we want to be financially stable and you're working up to get to that 6 months of living expenses, don't be premature about quitting your job. Even if you hate your job, I'm going to advise you stick around. Okay. Sometimes we have to put up with something that we hate in order to get something that we love. And if it isn't broken, don't fix it. I watched a number of my classmates coming out of Harvard Business School who really wanted to be entrepreneurs. And so they didn't take a job after they graduated. They went straight into their startup. And most of them failed, which is fine. Startups fail all the time, but they also missed out on the opportunity to do all of that good recruiting that comes at the end of an MBA program because they were just so excited about, I want to be an entrepreneur now. I get it. Entrepreneurship can be very exciting, but it's also so hard. So my advice is don't let the excitement of it blind you to the reality of it. And the reality is you're probably not going to be bringing in any money for a little bit. So keep that good job for as long as you can. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And my third tip is to set yourself and your business some sort of milestone that tells you, once I'm at this point, I'll quit my job. Set yourself some sort of milestone and stick to it. Now, only you can know what that milestone is, but I will give you a couple of examples. For my business, for Minted, we were raising outside capital. And so I said, I am not going to leave my job, even though I had the 6 months of savings. I am not going to leave my job until I have an investor and a term sheet. Now, my milestone wasn't that I have to have the money in the bank. All I wanted was a term sheet. I just wanted someone somewhere to say, we believe in your business enough to put forth a term sheet of what an investment could look like. And by the way, term sheets fall through all the time. Okay. A term sheet is not a promise, but for me, it felt like enough of a milestone that there was an outside third party respectable investor saying, you've got something here that I believe is worth putting money into. That felt like a good enough milestone for me to quit my job. Here's another example. Let's say you've already launched your business. Maybe you're already selling your products on Etsy or on TikTok Shop, something like that. Then for you, maybe the milestone is a revenue number. Maybe you say, once I am consistently bringing in $5,000 a month in revenue, and by consistent, maybe for you, that means 3 months in a row. If I get to a place where 3 months in a row, I hit $5,000 in revenue, or maybe it can be less, it can be more. Again, this is up to you, maybe $2,000 a month in revenue. That's when I'm going to quit my job because I know I've got my savings and it ain't broke yet, but I'm starting to feel the pressure. There's more I know I can do on my business if I weren't working this full-time job. So my milestone is going to be $5,000 a month in revenue, right? There are a lot of different milestones that you can hit. Maybe if you're a content creator, maybe you say, once I've gotten to 150,000 followers, then I'm going to make this my full-time focus. I can't choose that milestone for you. It's got to be one that makes sense to you. But once you set it, keep it, because you're going to find as you get closer to whatever that milestone is, if you're anything like me, the prospect of quitting your good job, that good paying job, it's going to get scarier. And as you get closer, there's going to be a part of you that says, should I really do this? This is a good job. I'm making good money. Like maybe I could just do both of these things forever and ever. But you want to set yourself a milestone, because at some point you've got to throw your backpack over the fence and follow your heart, follow your dreams. So that's it for this video. I really hope it was helpful. I am rooting for every single person out there who is starting a company, who is going after it, living their dreams. And not only am I rooting for you, I am here to help you. If you go to the link in my description, you can join the waitlist for my course, Startup Starter Kit. It is launching in October, or you can also sign up for coaching, because I do offer one-on-one business coaching. I'm here to help you if you need it. And if you love this content, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.